Hello, this is Dr. Mercola, and this is the video update for Thursday, October 19th. And today I have something very exciting to report on, and that is my most recent book, The Great Bird Flu Hoax, has actually climbed up to number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. And you can actually see a link to the New York Times article directly below this video, and maybe some of the other books that made it. So I want to thank everyone for their support and their help, because clearly without your assistance this never would have been possible. But I also have another exciting announcement to make, and that is in a few weeks Sweet Deception will be available. I'm really excited about this. This is the most significant work I've ever written. It took me almost 3 years to put this book together. Yes, almost 3 years, and at one point or other I've hired 7 full-time researchers and writers to help me put this book together, because such a massive amount of work in a project that should really break open the doors in the artificial sweetener industry. Now, this book's going to come out next month, and in fact, yesterday I was in downtown Chicago doing an interview for CNN that should come out about the same time as the book. And I want to share with you some of the specifics that I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years about artificial sweeteners and Splenda in specifically, and I'm going to be sharing that with you in videos over the next few days, or few weeks rather. So I want to start by reviewing some of the central concepts that I just really, even in the last few weeks, had developed a deeper appreciation as preparing for the media interviews that I was doing, because it kind of all clicked. You know, Splenda is really careful about hiding the fact that there's chlorine in Splenda. And in fact, less than 10%, yes, less than 10% of the public has any concept or clue that there's chlorine in there. So 90% of people don't understand that at all. But for those people who do, their argument is that the chlorine in Splenda is no different from the chlorine in the food supply. But nothing could be further from the truth, because the chlorine that's in fruits and vegetable is usually in the form of an ionic bond. And an ionic bond is something similar to what you see in a salt, like sodium chloride. It breaks apart and dissociates very easily. The bonding structure that's present in Splenda is something called a covalent bond, and that is where the atoms actually share electrons, and it's bound more rigid and it's much more difficult to break apart. But that's just where the beginning starts, because it gets more interesting. If you've ever taken chemistry, you'll know that the definition of an organic compound is one that has carbon atoms in it. So it doesn't mean it's pesticide-free or anything, but it has carbon atoms. Now, in nature, there is no organic compound that has chlorine unless it's man-made or synthetic. The only organic compounds with chlorine are synthetic substances. Let me give you some examples of these. We have DDT, PCBs, Agent Orange. These are the types of chemicals that typically have, and we have Splenda, but these are the type of chemicals that typically have chlorine in them. Now, our bodies simply do not possess the metabolic machinery to digest or metabolize these compounds. And that's actually one of the reasons why they have 0 calories. And I have a whole other presentation I want to share with you about the 0 calorie issue, because that's another fraud. But when you combine chlorine and carbon in an organic compound, it's just simply not compatible with human life. And this is one of the reasons why they are so successful and used so much as insecticides. And it's another reason why they've been used traditionally and historically over the last 100 years in injuring or killing millions of people in biological warfare agents. So these products that have organic chlorinated compounds are really potentially dangerous to humans over time, and it's something that you really want to avoid. So I want you to stay tuned, because next week I'm going to introduce some very interesting video updates that's going to share even more information about the Splenda story. So stay tuned.